All right, we go with the Chargers last year, kind of being like, who are the weapons? Who are they going to throw to? And we talked about it early on when you took Joe Alt with what was it, the 5th overall pick, I think it was. I was just amazed by it because the Giants had the pick right after you, and they took Malik Neighbors. And don't get me wrong, Malik Neighbors is a stud. Like he is very, very good. But so is Joe Alt, and I laughed when the Giants took Malik Neighbors and you took Joe Alt. I remember we were doing a live draft show and I started laughing. I'm like, this is the difference between a winning organization and a losing organization. The Giants have been a losing organization for some time now. And the Chargers under Harbaugh and Ortiz are a winning organization, and they will continue to be one because they make smart decisions. They were able to get a guy who had very similar production in less targets in Ladd McConkey than did Malik Neighbors. Don't get me wrong. Malik Neighbors is just another version of talent. I get that. All right, but there was nobody that they would have gotten similar production with in that second round pick at tackle. They understood the assignment. They understood the difference. Now, this year when you go forward, you still have those anchors at the tackle positions, but now all of a sudden your wide receiver room has changed, and the NFL is trying to play catch up with it. I saw a very interesting article, and I'll show it to you here. And it was Chargers' final wide receiver spot comes down to 5 names fighting for one job. Now, this would be assuming that the Chargers take 5 wide receivers or that they keep 5 wide receivers. All right? And I'm looking at the names here, and I'm seeing Keandre Lambert-Smith. Okay? He is in a roster battle. Is not guaranteed to make the 53-man roster after being drafted. The first 5 spots are completely locked up in the Chargers wide receiver room, and Lambert-Smith is not one of them. All right, the Chargers could theoretically carry 7 wideouts like they did coming out of training camp last year, but it is rare. It'll only happen if Lambert-Smith thrives and there's another wideout who cannot be denied. Because of his status as a recent draft pick, Lambert-Smith has a leg up over his competition. However, his spot on the Chargers still has to be earned. This is interesting to me, so let's go ahead and look at who we have here. So you would have to imagine they've already kept 5. I guess I was wrong. This is assuming they keep 6. So your 5 wide receivers that are assumingly being kept would have to be the following. Darius Davis, that's 1. Quentin Johnston is 2. Trey Harris is 3. Mike Williams is 4. Ladd McConkey is 5. I don't think that necessarily ends up being true. I think if somebody ends up being better, if Mike Williams shows that, like, no, he just doesn't have it anymore, he doesn't have that juice anymore, they're not going to hold on to him just for holding on to him's sake. They still have enough veteran presence that they can get this done. But when I'm looking at this and I'm looking at these names for a 6th wide receiver, Keandre Lambert-Smith, Jalen Reagor. All right, this dude was drafted to be the number 2 wide receiver on the Eagles just 4 years ago. Brenden Rice, the son of the greatest receiver of all time. And we'll talk about these guys in a little bit. Des Fitzpatrick and Jalen Johnson. These guys are outside looking in. Quite frankly, I think Brenden Rice is on the outside looking in. That is nuts to have that much talent on your offensive side of the ball and that much depth in the wide receiver room. I think these guys could truly end up being good players. So let's look into a couple of these guys and who they are. First one was your draft pick this year. All right, it's Keandre Lambert-Smith. He was drafted in the 5th round, 160 overall, and this is the kind of athlete that you drafted. You drafted a sub 4.4 guy, a guy who can take the top off, and he has the adequate size at 6 feet, 6.5 feet, 190 pounds. He has good explosion, all right, and he didn't do the 3-cone, but his shuttle showed that he has elite agility. Elite speed, elite agility, good explosion, 9.03, ends up being a top 10% wide receiver athletically. The next guy that's on this list, all right, is Brenden Rice. is Brenden Rice here, wide receiver out of Southern California, USC, as other people know it as. And I'm sure there's a lot of USC Trojan fans listening to this show. Myself personally, hey, this isn't our first channel. We have Sports Talk Detroit. We started this channel about a year ago to follow that guy, Jim Harbaugh. I'm a Michigan guy. All right, I'm a Michigan guy. I don't want to throw shade here, but I do remember beating USC while throwing the ball like 10 times. Man, oh man, did we have an awful offense last year. Just terrible. All right, Brenden Rice, absolutely more than an adequate athlete when it comes to playing the wide receiver position. Tall enough, big enough, good enough hands, all the things that are needed, fast enough to be an effective wide receiver. The question is, can he put all the pieces together? These are the kind of things. Jalen Reagor, all right, when I was talking about him, he was drafted in 2020, COVID. He's played 5 years in the NFL. All right, his first 2 years in Philly was when he really got his shot. He had 57 and 53 targets. He never put it together. He's a guy who's just bounced around. He's bounced around. Last year, he went to the Chargers, and he played in, I think he appeared in like 7 games or something like that with you, and played sparingly and okay. Caught 63.6% of the balls that were thrown at him, had 100 yards. Okay? That's what he had. So he was a guy that was already on this roster last year. And now you would have to make the argument that it is likely that Brenden Rice and Keandre Lambert-Smith would make the team before he does. He's third in the pecking order, and he's a guy who played half your games last year. That speaks to the depth that you have at the wide receiver position. Now, here's the other thing I want to talk to you about. I want you to get used to having a slot ninja, a type of guy like Ladd McConkey, who can play to the outside. He can, right? But just this type of guy who doesn't embody just that X receiver, like, put me on the outside, I'm going to win no matter what, like your Justin Jeffersons, your Nico Collins, right? Your Jamar Chases of the world. It's not what he is. All right, he's going to live more in the mold of an Amon-Ra St. Brown, and I'm familiar with Amon-Ra St. Brown. He has the same work ethic to him. He's got that same grittiness to him. He has that same football IQ to him. I've talked about this on this channel before. Enjoy the heck out of that. Enjoy it. And you should know what that feels like because you had Keenan Allen for so many years. Now, what you're getting in Ladd McConkey, I know this sounds weird, you're getting a more athletic version of it. He is faster. He has better big playability than Keenan Allen ever did. Enjoy the heck out of this and hope that you have a draft pick that just came in this year by the name of Trey Harris that turns into what you had on the outside with Mike Williams. You could have the same 1-2 punch that you had for so many years with Keenan Allen and Mike Williams, except it could be more athletic. Imagine that with a better offensive system that will utilize them just a little bit better. Not more, but better and more efficient. All right, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. See you on the next one. Happy 4th of July.